Hello everyone, welcome to this class, CIT 2102, DIT 2105, Introduction to Internet. I am Madam Linda Sawe from the School of Computing and Informatics, Department of Information Technology. Welcome. Today we are doing our lesson 1, Introduction to Internet, whereby we'll be introducing our terms to introducing ourselves to terms related to the internet. The internet is the current or the main trend that we have in computing now, whereby we are seeing a blow on the internet. Basically, we are getting a lot of information, we are accessing information, some major kind of information and so on. So this is a very good thing to understand, or to try and know what is actually going on in there. So we'll start by defining a number of terms here, and the first term I want us to define is what is the internet. Now, we are using the internet a lot today to do so many things. We are seeing that the internet is our future thing, or is our future place to be. So the internet is basically defined as a network of globally connected computers that is decentralized by design. Now, what is this, or why is the internet a network? When we say a network, it's basically a combination or a connection of several things together. You can have a network of people, a network of markets, a network of devices, a network of social connections, and so on. So how is the internet a network then? The internet is a network because it's a collection of computers, and in this case several computers. So the internet can be referred as a network because it's a collection of millions of computers. So the internet qualifies to be a network because of that millions of connections of computers. Then we have globally connected computers. Now, to access the internet, it doesn't matter where you are located. It is connecting people from different areas, from different locations. So we call the internet a global village because it doesn't matter where you are. You're able to access the internet from wherever you are. So this makes the internet a global connection of computers because it doesn't matter where you are located. The internet has brought people in the world closer by connecting computers located in remotest of locations, and they all appear to be like a small village in this case. Then decentralized by design. Why? Because the internet is not owned by anyone. There is nobody that controls the internet. So the way it functions, the way it operates is decentralized. There is no central point. There is no central connection. There is no central organization or body that is controlling how it functions. So that's why it is decentralized by design. Then we can also say that the internet is an information superhighway. That is, information can be accessed, or any kind of information can be accessed over the web. That makes it a highway or a superhighway of information, meaning information is flowing in and out of it. Then we have intranet, which is another very important type of network that we need to understand. This is a network that is not available to the world outside of the internet. So this is a locked kind of network. It's a small kind of network that maybe an organization can establish for purposes of carrying out its operations comfortably, but it's not available to be accessed outside that intranet or that small kind of network. So if you're not a party, if you're not an authorized user of an intranet, you will not be able to access it. Then we have extranet. This is actually an intranet that is partially accessible to authorized outsiders. So people from the outside can be able to access this kind of network, but who have authorization, not everybody. So it's a kind of internet that is a bit flexible to allow outsiders to access it, but these outsiders have to be people that are authorized, people who have authorization to access that network. Now, there is usually a server that monitors these access requests, so that if a valid request comes in, the person is able to be granted or is able to be allowed to access that network. If they are not, then you will be locked out. So the actual server will reside behind a firewall that checks or that controls the access between the intranet and the internet, permitting access to the intranet only if people who are suitably authorized are the one requesting to access the network. So those are the three versions or different types of networks. Yes, we have internet, intranet, and extranet. Internet here we've said is a superhighway of information, or it's a global connection of several computers together. Intranet is a small kind of network that is established maybe by an organization, but it's locked. It's not available for everybody to access it, and it can only be accessed within the organization or within the intranet. Then extranet is an intranet that allows authorized kind of access. It is an intranet that is not locked. It allows external kind of access, but from authorized kind of users. And we have a firewall that maybe controls who is able to access what in that case. Then talking more about the intranet, we say that this is a private network of computers within an organization with its own server and firewall. Now, an intranet is a system in which multiple computers are networked to be connected to each other, and these personal computers in an intranet are not available to the world outside of that intranet. So if you're outside the intranet, you will not be able to access. Then usually each company or organization has their own intranet network, and members or employees of that company can access the computers in their intranet. Then every computer in an internet is identified by a unique IP address, and each computer is also identified by an IP address in an intranet, just like the internet. So the only way we can know what computer is a particular personal computer in the intranet or the internet is using their IP address. So that is like the identification for each of the computers on the intranet or in the internet. And then what are some of the benefits of an intranet? Why are organizations embracing intranet or these small kind of networks? The first one is obviously it's very efficient and reliable compared to other kind of networks. So an intranet is small, it's locked, so it doesn't have so many or high traffic. So that leads to us having efficiency and reliability of the network system. Then we also have aspects like collaboration. You are able to work from wherever or from wherever you are located as a member of an organization, as long as you have access to that intranet. Then it's cost effective. It's a small kind of network, so issues of cost. The kind of necessary hardware and software to set up is not so large. It supports just a small category of people, so it's not a very large kind of thing to set up. Then we have security. The lesser in terms of networks is the security is less. There are less security threats, so it's good to appreciate an intranet compared to internet. Of course, an intranet is more secure. Then we have productivity. If we are able to set up our own network as an organization, our productivity will be high. We don't depend on the availability of the external kind of infrastructure or internet services and such like things. We are self-sufficient as an organization, so we are able to get what we require, thus productivity. The benefits of the intranet are here, as we have said: collaboration, cost effectiveness, business management activities are good, specific users are able to carry out their own activities, thus leading to productivity. We have security, communication, and such like things. Then the communication is discussed here, that intranet offers easy and cheap communication within an organization, whereby employees can communicate using chats. We can have our own chatting forum as an organization. We use things like emails, maybe organizational emails, for example, blogs, whereby we can have discussions about issues pertaining to our organization in a certain blog. Then time saving, information on the intranet is shared in real time. So you are able to share information there and then. And like when you have to use another channel. Then we have collaboration. Information is distributed among the employees as according to the requirement, and it can be accessed by authorized users, resulting in enhanced teamwork. For example, in our university scenario, it doesn't matter which campus you are in. If you have an intranet, you are able to access this information irrespective of where you are. You are able to share information in a distributed kind of environment. Then we have platform independency, whereby an intranet can connect computers and other devices with different architecture. Devices are laid out in different kind of architectures. Platforms are different. Maybe we have different OS kind of operating systems we are using. Maybe we are moving from an Android kind of platform to maybe a Windows kind of platform, or Mac OS kind of platform. We are able to share information irrespective of the platform we are using, or even the kind of device architecture that we are using. Then we have cost-effective. Employees can see the data and other documents using a browser rather than printing them and distributing duplicate copies among the employees, which certainly decreases the cost. Yeah, cost of printing is very high. You need to have the cartridges, you need to have paper, you need to have printers. So information can easily be shared electronically without necessarily printing. So there is cost reduction or cost effectiveness. Then we have workforce productivity. Data is available at every time and can be accessed using the company workstation or your computer at work. This helps the employees to work faster. So if you empower employees with resources, employees have what they require within maybe just a click, or maybe just clicking on a link and so on. That will help with workforce productivity, whereby if we have resources, we are able to, the output or the productivity is high. Then we have another benefit, which is business management. It's also possible to deploy applications that support business operations. So we can have applications that support how we are carrying out our tasks easily. Maybe scheduling kind of applications that are used for data analysis and such like things. We can have our own kind of business management applications that we can use. We are seeing now that we are moving to online kind of meetings. We can have our online kind of online meeting applications that we can use and such like things. Then we have security. Since information is shared on internet, can only be accessed within an organization. Therefore, there is almost no chance of being hacked or being stolen for information and such like things. Since there is limited number of users in an intranet, information is more secure compared to if it is out there in the internet. You know, what is in the internet is accessible to anyone. Then we have specific users. Intranet targets a specific category of users within an organization. Therefore, you know that information is going to the people it's supposed to be going to, and you know who you interacting with. That gives you some form of security or some form of confidence, since you know the specific users who you are interacting with. Then immediate updates. Any changes made to information is updated. So the information you're dealing with is up to date. And you know the risk of dealing with outdated information. You might give wrong representation of the data or a wrong picture of what is actually happening in the system. So immediate updates are good in an intranet because the data is always up to date, because we are working in real time. Now, what are some of the issues of intranet? One is we have management concerns, we have security concerns, and productivity concerns. Now, some of the management concerns that we have is loss of control. Now, you may have, or you may feel as a manager that you are losing control of information, losing control of the system, because the system is available to everyone in the organization. Hidden complexity. Some of these systems may have, they're hidden, because what we meet with in the system is usually the front end, but what happens in the back end may be a bit complex, especially for operations that are a bit complicated in the way they are carried out. Then we have potential for chaos, conflict of interest. So sometimes systems may be a ground for conflict of interest. You're trying to do something, somebody else is trying to do something, you're accessing similar data and such like things. So this may be an issue here. Then we have security concerns. Of course, we never forget that we have hackers. We have people who are able to do things like cybercrime and such like things. So unauthorized access is an issue. We have denial of service, a kind of attack that you may get in your intranet. We have packet sniffing. Here we have people who are there to see what is being sent or received via our intranet. Then we have productivity concerns. Information overload lowers productivity. Sometimes if you're processing or having a high traffic, or maybe it's a certain period in maybe the university, like now we could be doing something like exam processing, that heavy load or that high traffic may slow the system. We have things like user setup or their own pages. Yeah, a user can put up a page that you're not sure of, the content, who is the author and such like things. Then we have overabundances of information. Sometimes the information may be too much. You feel overburdened by that information. Now let's compare the internet versus the intranet. Now the intranet is a localized kind of network. The internet, on the other hand, is a worldwide network. We've said that an intranet is a small network that is set up by an organization. So that's a localized kind of network, whereas the internet is a global connection of computers. So that's a network that is set up for the worldwide. Then we have, the internet does not have access to the intranet. So the intranet does not have access, basically. So the access is limited. It doesn't access the internet. The internet, on the other hand, has access to the internet. It is itself. So definitely there is access. Then an intranet is more expensive to set up. The internet, again, is less expensive. Then intranet is more safe compared to the internet. And last but not least is that the internet is more reliable. Reliable in the sense that the information that is available there is kind of legit, because it's information that we are setting up as an organization. You're sure that there are no issues like wrong kind of information or information that is offensive and such like things. So an intranet is kind of regulated, so it doesn't have very much of unreliable kind of information. But the internet, on the other hand, is less reliable, because the internet is not controlled by anyone. Anyone can post anything they wish and so on. Now let's discuss some of the internet terminologies. The first terminology that I want us to understand is what is a client in regard to the internet setup. Now, a client is any computer on the network that requests services from another computer on the network. Now, in any setup or in any network setup, we always have a computer that requests for a certain service. You may be needing a printing service, maybe a file service, maybe a mail service, and so on. Those are the computers that we are referring to as a client. That computer that is sending a request to receive a certain service. Now, if there's a computer that is requesting a service, there is definitely another computer that responds to this service. This is a server. A server is a computer that receives the request from the client computers that we have earlier defined, processes these requests, and sends the output to the respective client computers that have placed the request. So a server basically responds, processes, gives a feedback to the client regarding the service that they have requested. Then the other term I want us to define is what is a web server. Now, a web server is a computer that is dedicated to provide web services to clients on the internet. Now, web services are often provided through websites that are hosted on a web server that is accessed by a client. So, defining a web server, we can simply say that this is a server that is dedicated to provide web services. And we are saying that these web services are hosted in websites that this server accesses to provide or to give the requests that are given or requested by our client. Then we have a browser. This is a software that is used to access the contents of a website or a web page on the internet. So to access the contents that are laid out in a web page, to access any content of a website, you need to use a browser. And the common browsers that we have are browsers like Internet Explorer, Netscape Navigator, Opera. We have Chrome and such like Mozilla and so on. Those are the browsers that we use to access the contents of a website or a web page. Now, to access a website, a user needs to specify an address that helps the browser track that particular website that they wish to access. So you always type the address of the page that you want loaded so that the browser is able to know what page to load for you. Next is URL. URL stands for Unique Resource Locator. Now, this is a link that is used to access a website on the internet. Now, every website has its URL. It has its address. It has its unique name or unique address that it's using. That's what we are calling a URL. And a URL is unique to each site and is typically based on the nature of the site. Now, next term that is important for us to understand in regard to the internet is ISP. ISP stands for Internet Service Provider, and these are basically companies that help users connect to the internet for a monthly fee or at a subscription. You pay, maybe depending on your agreement, monthly, maybe on a yearly basis and so on, so that they provide you with an internet kind of connection. So ISPs are companies like Safaricom. They provide you the service of connection and so on. Then we have modem. Modem is a special hardware device that gets its name from the two words modulation and demodulation. Now, this is a hardware device that transmits data over a telephone line so that it changes or converts the type of signal that is being transmitted from one form to another. In this case, from either digital to analog or the other way around, from analog to digital. So that process of converting a signal from one form to another is what we are calling modulation and demodulation. And this work is done by a special hardware device that we are calling a modem. So that, you know that when we are dealing with signals, computers can only interpret digital kind of signal. Therefore, however, we process different types of signal. A signal can come in as an analog kind of signal. It needs to be converted to the correct type of signal for processing to happen. So this is a hardware device that is responsible for that conversion of signals from one form to another through the process of either modulation or demodulation. Then we will define what is a web page. This is any page that is hosted on the internet. Now, a web page is viewed using a web browser, as we have earlier said. The contents of any website or web page is viewed through a browser. So that is good to note. And the basic framework of web pages is designed using a language called HTML, and HTML here stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So when you are drawing or coming up with the contents of our web page, we use the language of HTML, and we can embed other languages like JavaScript in HTML to create a good page or a good looking page with more features and such like things. Then we have web development. This is the process of creating web pages for a website that will be hosted on the internet. So when we are creating web pages, when we are coming up with websites, we use the technique of web development where we are using different web application tools to come up or to create web pages and websites. Then the next important term in regard to the internet is what is a protocol. A protocol is a set of rules that are followed on a network to facilitate communication between two different computers on a network or on different types of networks. So those rules that we follow on how to send, how to receive information on the internet, how to send information over different types of networks is what we are calling a protocol. Now, a good example of a protocol that we use on the internet is HTTP, and HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is used for communication on the internet. You notice that for most of the web pages, it starts with HTTP. This is the protocol or set of rules that we will use when we are sending or receiving data via that channel or that communication line. So protocols are very important because they determine how information is sent, how information is received, information is sent in what kind of package, what kind of channel are we using, and such like things. So HTTP is a very important stack of protocols that determine how information or how communication over the internet is going to be done. Then we have another important term, home page. Home page is the first page that is displayed by a browser when you are trying to access a website. It's like the welcoming page that you get into in any website before you can start surfing through or getting deeper into that particular website. Then we have search engine. This is an internet tool that is used for information retrieval or that helps to speed up the process of searching for information on the internet and even resources on the internet. So the internet again is an information superhighway. It has a lot of information. So if you're not objective in what you're looking for, you might be lost looking or getting information that you don't really need because it has a lot of information. So to quick or to speed up the process of searching for information on the internet, we have what we are calling search engines, or this special utility or tool that we can use. And a good example of a search engine is Google. Google helps to retrieve information for you or to speed up that process of searching for information, and it organizes information according to what is closest to what you're looking for, so that you're able to access whatever you're trying to find. Then we have another term, cookie. Cookie is very important again in regard to the internet technology, and this is a file that is left on your computer by a website browser containing your login, password, user preferences, and other personalized information. So whenever you access a page, whenever you access a website, that information of what you have entered in there will be given to you in a small file we are calling a cookie there. Then we have domain name. This is a unique name that identifies an internet site. Then we have a link or a hyperlink. Now this is text found on a web page that when you click on, it takes you to another web location. So when you're designing sites, you will not put all the information in one page. You may just have a link that in case your visitor or whoever is visiting the site wants to read more about whatever you've provided there, they are led to another location or to another page on the website. That is what we are calling a link or a hyperlink. And links are basically usually denoted by maybe a blue color of text and an underline, and when you pass or have your mouse cursor moving over it, that cursor changes to a hand, meaning when you click on it, it will load the page of that particular link. Then we have a deep link. This is a hypertext link to a page on a website other than its home page. So, and the term deep here refers to the depth of the page in the site's hierarchical structure of pages. So if you get inside a site and get into another page within that site and even deeper within the site, depending on the way the site pages are organized, that's what we are calling a deep link. Then let's look at the history of the internet. Now, the history of the internet is basically the journey the internet has traveled to what it is today. And the concept of the internet was originated in 1969 and has undergone several technological and infrastructural changes, as you can see down below. So the origin of the internet is devised from the concept of ARPANET. ARPANET here stands for Advanced Research Project Agency Network. Now, ARPANET was developed in the US in the Department of Defense. Now, basic purpose of ARPANET was to provide communication among the various bodies of government. Now, the Defense Department was using this ARPANET network for purposes of communication within the different government bodies. Then after ARPANET was created, ARPANET initially had only 4 nodes, which we are calling hosts, or basically nodes in terms of computers. So it had only 4 nodes, and we called them hosts. In 1972, ARPANET spread over the globe with 23 nodes. Now, the 4 nodes had been upgraded to 23 nodes, and they were located in different countries, and it therefore ended up being called the internet. So it started with 4 nodes, it was expanded to 23 nodes, and they were located in different countries, which later led to it being converted into the internet. By that time, new technologies started being invented, technologies like the TCP/IP protocol. This is a protocol suite that has the transfer control protocols and the internet protocols. Then we also have things like the domain name systems. Naming ways had been established. Then we have the World Wide Web kind of consortium, whereby we have how websites are organized, how web pages are organized on the internet. We have browsers, we have scripting languages like JavaScript came into existence, CSS and such like things. Then internet also provided a medium to publish and access information over the web. Now, information was now available to either upload information or download information from the internet. This is where now the internet has kept transforming. New technologies are coming in, cloud computing, social networking, and so on. But the main start, or the main base of how the internet started, is with ARPANET that had 4 nodes, which later grew to 23 nodes that were located in different countries. Then there were now more technological and maybe innovations that came into place, things like DNS, TCP/IP protocols, and www. Now, moving on to the client-server model. This is a very important model to understand, whereby most of the services on the internet have its structure or its layout in the client-server kind of structure. Now, the most popular internet tools operate as client-server systems. We have defined what is a client and what is a server. We've said that a client is that computer on the network or on the internet that requests for a certain service. A server, on the other hand, responds, processes, and even provides the services that the client is requesting. So what are we saying here in the client-server model? We are saying that most of the services are organized in this kind of structure, where we have clients that request for a particular service that is offered on the internet, and a server, on the other hand, to respond to these requests that are coming in from our client. So all the basic internet tools like Telnet, File Transfer Protocol, Gopher, and the World Wide Web are based on the cooperation of a client and 1 or more servers. Now, in each case, you interact with the client program. The client program is a program that brings in the requests from the client host computers that we have in our network. And then it manages the details of how data is being presented to you, or the way in which you can look for resources. Now, in turn, the client interacts with 1 or more servers, where the information resides or where the service resides. The server receives the request that is coming in from the client program, processes it, and sends a result without having to know the details of your computer system, because the client software on the computer system is handling those details. So most of these services, or all of them, are organized in this structure, whereby we have the client computer, we have the client program, then we have the server computer that responds to the request. So it's the job of the client program to receive the request from the client computers, try to get key information from the client request, send them to the server processes the request and sends a feedback to the client program that will in turn send a feedback to the client computer. Now, the advantage of this client-server kind of model is that work is distributed. Work is distributed, thus making each tool focus on the specialized or on the particular task that they are specialized in. For example, if you're requesting for a web server, you will deal with the web client program and the web server itself, if you're requesting for a web service. So you as a client request for that web service that you wish to receive. The client program will process the request that you're receiving and send the request to the server. The server will process and provide you with a particular web service you're requesting, send the feedback to the client program, and the client program will in turn send you the service that you are requesting, or send you the feedback that is coming from the web server. So the server serves information to many users, while the client software for each user handles the individual user's interface and other details of the requests and results. So it is good to note that this client server makes work very easy. That's why you're able to download a file very fast. You're able to upload a file very fast, because you have a client program that is receiving your request, sending it to the server, and getting the request, the response back and sending it to you, making the internet a very effective place, because you get requests, you send requests, you get responses very fast without necessarily having a long delay. Now, what are some of the advantages of the internet? The internet offers us a number of advantages like social networking, education and technology, online services, and entertainment. We will also look at other, we'll display these advantages like social networking. The internet will allow us to communicate with people in different locations, and we have social networking sites that have helped to us today like Facebook, Twitter, Yahoo, Google+, Flickr, Orkut, WhatsApp, and so on. These are social networking softwares that we have, or applications that we have, that allow us to communicate with each other remotely, or even irrespective of where you are located at a certain time. Then we also have that you can search for any kind of information over the internet. You're able to access any kind of information, either uploading that information or even downloading that information. Information regarding to things like health, technology, science, social studies, geographical kind of information, information technology, products, and so on. You can search for all this kind of information just using a search engine, and you're able to have productive search of information. Then we have internet also serves as a medium of entertainment. You can access YouTube, you get some form of entertainment, you access Netflix and such like things, and you get your movies downloaded or even series that you're watching. So it's a source of entertainment. Then we have other main various modes of entertainment over the internet are things like online TV. You can now stream your TV channels online. You can play online games. If you like games, you can play songs or listen to music. You can watch videos. You can access social networking apps like Instagram if you want, things like TikTok now, and so on. So you can access any form of entertainment when you have the internet. Another advantage is that the internet allows you to use many services like internet banking. You don't have to physically go to the bank now. You can carry out some, using the internet, you can do some banking services. You can do matrimonial kind of services online. You can do online shopping. You can buy, sell goods online. You can do online ticket booking. You can book for your ticket online. You can do online bill payment. You can pay your bills via the net. You can share data. Yeah, you can collaboratively share data from one location to another, send an email and such like things. You can receive or send an email without necessarily posting physically like we used to do. But now you can just connect to the internet, send a mail, or even read through your emails. You can also do electronic commerce, and you can do business deals or conduct your business deals online without necessarily having even a physical kind of visit to a shop or maybe to a company or to an organization. Then what are some of the disadvantages of the internet? Threat to personal information, spamming, virus attacks, and cybercrime. We'll explain each of these disadvantages. We say that there are always chances of losing personal information on the internet. The internet again has so many people connected to it, so your information getting into wrong hands is a chance. It's a probability. So it's good to try and hide such information like your name, address, credit card number. Try to use secure channels in case you need to use that information over the internet. You should be very careful while sharing your information and ensure that you are getting to authenticated sites. Don't just get to any site and provide your personal information without your knowledge of what kind of site am I interacting with. Then spamming, this corresponds to unwanted emails that you did not plan to receive, unsolicited kind of mails. You get to your inbox, you get a lot of emails that you don't even understand who is the sender. So those are the emails that we are calling the spam mails. And these emails serve no purpose and lead to obstruction of the entire system. Then we have other disadvantages like viruses. Computer viruses are easily spread to the computers that are connected to the internet. Such virus attacks may cause your system to crash or your important data may be deleted. Then we have another threat is pornography. There are so many pornographic sites that can be found on the internet that can maybe land in your children's hands, or maybe your children may access them, or even they may just pop up as you are maybe doing your own things, and this may be offensive or may even affect the children's mental health and such like things. Then there are various sites that do not provide authenticated kind of information. Since there's nobody that controls what you upload to the internet, you may find that some information may be offensive. It may be defamation. It may be information that is not even legit and such like things. So this may lead to misconception among many people. Then other data communication issues that you may face on the internet is reliability of information. Again, I've said the internet is not regulated. Therefore, you may not ascertain what is posted on the internet. So sometimes the information that is posted there is not even true. It may not be what it is. So it is important to note that you're not supposed to rely on the information that you get on the internet. Sometimes you may get or come across undesirable kind of information. So the internet may contain a lot of inaccurate information, whereby you have a number of websites containing highly offensive or illegal kind of information. Then we have security of data transferred over the internet is not guaranteed unless you're using a secure channel. Your information may land in wrong hands as it's being transmitted, maybe from one point to another, from a sender to a recipient. Sometimes the information may land in wrong hands. Then, therefore, you may need to employ encryption algorithms so that you can encrypt the data before you can send it via any channel, or especially for sensitive kind of data, you need to ensure that you have protected your data before it's sent. Then we have another concept called phishing. Phishing is the other term for spam mails, whereby you send fraudulent kind of emails, and these are emails that attempt to trick people into revealing details about their maybe very personal information, like bank accounts or online accounts. So it's important to note and to beware that you could be dealing with such cases of fraudulent mails, emails that tend to trick you to provide information that is very personal to yourself, or information that can be used to carry out a fraud. Then we have another term called pharming. Pharming is similar to phishing, but instead of deceiving you to provide those personal information, pharming deceives your computer. So you try to load a page, or when you try to type a genuine URL, pharming will come up with or display a fake website that is often a very accurate copy of what you are trying to access. For example, maybe you're trying to access a site or an online site that buys or sells goods. So what pharming will do is it will load a page that is very similar to the one that you're asking. Even the layout, the way the products are laid out, the way the pages look like, they will look exactly like what you're looking for. But when you try to buy the goods, you actually successfully buy the goods, but it is going to a fake site, not the actual site that you intended. Then we have email spam, whereby you're getting unsolicited emails from unknown persons, or emails you are not even expecting to receive. Then the last item I want us to look at today is Internet standards and organizations. Now, Internet standards are basically the documented requirements, both in technology as well as methodology, pertaining to the Internet. Now, we've said that the Internet is not owned by anybody, so the standards that are there in terms of documented requirements, or maybe the methodology that is being contributed to the Internet, is what forms what we are calling the Internet standards. Now, the standardization process has 3 steps. So before a recommendation or a methodology is accepted, or a requirement is accepted, it always goes through 3 different steps, and the documentation is laid out in a step that is called the maturity level. So you start from one level, moving on to the second and the third level, and that's when the methodology or the standard is accepted. So it starts when it's a proposed standard, whereby this is a standard that is ready for implementation, and it has to be revised according to the circumstances of deployment. So it starts by having it as a proposal. After that, the standard is upgraded to a draft standard, whereby the proposed standard is meticulously tested by at least 2 sites for at least 4 months. So this standard you're proposing is tested against a site for tested by at least 2 sites. So 2 sites, and then for 4 months to see that it is actually working and it is actually stable. Then it is now considered as a draft standard, and the draft standard has been merged with Internet standard to form the future of the Internet standard. Then finally, you move on to the highest level, which is the Internet standard. Now, these are the technically matured standards that define the protocols and formats of messages. So then the fundamental standards are those which form the Internet protocol. So a standard will go through these 3 levels: the proposed one, draft, and then finally you have the Internet standard. So what are some of the common examples of Internet standards that we have? We have IETF, standing for Internet Engineering Task Force. Now, this is a loosely self-organized group, meaning it's a group of people that voluntarily came together that contributes to the Internet engineering and standards development. So IETF basically is a loosely or is a loosely self-organized group that came together to contribute to the internet engineering and basically standards development. Then we have ISOC. ISOC is a professional society. ISOC stands for Internet Society. It's a professional society that is concerned with the growth and evolution of the internet. That is the way the internet has resulted in how is it affecting us socially, how is it affecting us politically, and how is it affecting us technically. So that evolution and use of the internet is looked by this professional society that we are calling ISOC, that is basically concerned with understanding how the internet is evolving, how is the internet changing, and how are we even using that internet, and how is it affecting us like socially, technically, and politically. Then we have IESG, Internet Engineering Steering Group. This is a part of ISOC, so this team is usually part of ISOC, and it manages the internet standards process and technical activities for IETF. So you note that these standards are collaborating with one another. They are trying to make contributions together. So IESG basically is part of ISOC, and it manages internet standards process and technical activities for IETF. The next standard is IAB, Internet Architecture Board. This is a technical advisory group to ISOC. Remember, ISOC is that professional grouping of people and oversees the internet architecture and protocols. Just as the name suggests, Internet Architecture Board. So it oversees the internet architecture and protocols, and it acts as an appeals body for decisions of IESG. So you note again that IESG is appearing here, whereby IAB participates hand in hand, and it acts as an appeal body for decisions of IESG. Then we have WWW Consortium, W3 Consortium, that is the World Wide Web Consortium. This is concerned with developing common standards for the web. Now, for example, a standard for embedding active objects into hypertext documents is under development by W3C members. So W3C members is just concerned with how information is organized on the web. What new technologies are coming up with web development? How can active objects be embedded in an HTML kind of document or in a hypertext kind of document? Then we have ANSI. ANSI stands for American National Standards Institute. This coordinates the US voluntary consensus standard systems and approves American national data processing and communication standards. Now, this is an American kind of standards organization or a standards body that is concerned with issues of data processing and data communication standards. It's good to note that ANSI does not develop these standards. It's only concerned with coordinating issues regarding data processing and data communication. Then we have ISO, International Organization of Standards. This is a voluntary body of national standardization organizations. It accepts and certifies international standards for telecommunication. So ANSI is a member of ISO. So ISO is just a standardization kind of body. It is an international body that is concerned with several issues. And in this case, the internet is a network that is concerned with communication. Therefore, they will have to follow communication guidelines provided by ISO. Internet is a telecommunication kind of channel, so it has to follow telecommunication guidelines provided by ISO. The issues like devices, issues like cabling, issues like how devices are laid out, how devices are produced, and so on. All these are determined by ISO. Then we have Internet Research Task Force, which is composed of a number of research groups whose overall objective is focused on the long-term development of the internet. Now, this is a group of body, or is a body that is concerned with how the long-term development of the internet will be like, and it's a parallel organization to IETF. So these are the basic or the main international or internet standards that we have, or bodies that are making contributions to the internet, either to the architecture of the internet, the evolution of the internet, the different protocols of the internet, and so on. So that is it for today. We'll stop there. Thank you.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.